consumers.
Well, pretty interesting dynamics there. And of course, Erastus, I know we are going to keep tabs on the matter, and hopefully if we're able to engage Gridco leaders or establishments, then we shall find out what exactly the situation is. But thank you so much for bringing us the latest on this beat. Erastus
Thank you for having me.
I do have a lovely day, my brother. Erastus Asaridonko, my colleague from Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi. Let's now bring in Kojo Poku, an energy analyst, and he has also been following this matter keenly, and he has his own thoughts on it. Mr. Poku, a very good morning to you.
Yeah, very good morning. How are you, my brother?
I am doing very well. I hope you are too.
Yes, I'm good.
Great. While we are well, the people in Kumasi are not so well in different parts, especially on the back of the power fluctuations and outages and all of that. What is your initial take on this matter, especially as Gridco has been very reticent, not communicative on the matter?
Well, that's how Gridco has always behaved. You know, in the past, Gridco always doesn't see themselves as an organization that needs to communicate. It's only in recent times, about a year or so ago, that they brought in a PR guy, Ebenezer Amankwa, and he has also left the company. So he left this year, and as a result of him leaving, there is a vacuum which I don't think Gridco wants to replace. They have always acted in a way where they make it look like they are not accountable to the people of Ghana. Mostly people blame ECG for their outages because ECG is a company that actually does the load shedding, but they can only will the load if it's given to them by Gridco. So for me, the concern of my institute, which is the Institute for Energy Policies and Research, our concern is that Gridco is a government institution and they should be up front and center with communication. It's not good to release a letter in the press because there are more questions that we want to ask. Example, you put a letter out there that a communication mast has fell on a 330 kV line. For me, that's problematic. If you know what a 330 kV line is and how high that transmission line is, how did a communication mast come anywhere near a 330 kV line to now fall on that transmission line? So that alone is questions that some of us want to ask Gridco. How did you allow a communication mast anywhere near a 330 kV line? And how is it that a 330 kV line is so low that a communication mast can fall on it? That's one. Two, you're looking at a situation where you issue a release on the 10th of November. You have not updated the people of Kumasi. You don't tell them how long it's going to take to fix the problem. You said, oh, we'll fix it earliest convenience. What is earliest convenience? 1 month? 3 weeks? So we need to be specific. We need to tell the people of Ghana specifics because we pay you with our money. It's the taxes that pay your salaries. So it's not good enough for you to go to home and sleep in darkness. And I'm in Kumasi and I'm in darkness and you tell me, oh, I'll fix it in the earliest convenience. What is earliest convenience? It's been 2 weeks already. If the pylons and the cables are not working or spoiled, how long does it take to remove it and replace it? These are specific questions that people want to know. Timelines. When we had the issue in Kumasi earlier in the year, Kintampo Kumasi, we called a meeting and the minister got everybody to be present at that meeting and said, look, please give timelines on when these are going to be fixed. And they gave us timelines on when the Kumasi Kintampo is going to be fixed. And they have done that. So for me, I think when there's a problem, we need specifics. We don't want earliest convenience. What earliest convenience? Your earliest convenience might not be my earliest convenience. So as Ghanaians, I think we settle for less too much. And Gridco is culpable of all these things whenever there is these issues. They put the blame on ECG and Gridco just is silent.
And Kojo, I know that Gridco has its own problems from logistics, constraints, human resource, logistical constraints. They would even from time to time tell you about complaints when it comes to their allowances and investment and all of that. I mean, can we fault them so much? I mean, yes, maybe the lack of communication, but when you talk about the 300 plus kV lines and all of that, sometimes don't you think these should mitigate the situation, should sort of measure our fury or anger against them?
Why are we, everybody in this country gets paid. I mean, there's nobody at GRIDCO that doesn't get paid. It might not be what you expect to be paid, but it's the job you're expected to do. So as long as you're being paid, you should do your work. For me, whether your allowances come, it doesn't come, it comes late, it's small, it's not. Look, if you don't want, find another job. But as long as you stay at GRIDCO and you decide to work at GRIDCO, you have to work. And the work means that if something is wrong and you went to the Ministry of Finance for emergency disbursement of funds to fix this problem within 1 week or 2 weeks, and you are not giving that money, then find a way to get it to some of us. Maybe as GRIDCO, you can publicly come out and say that, look, I'm being starved of funding. But, I mean, a lot of the GRIDCO staff, my high management have our numbers. If you can't publicly give it to us, privately give it to some of us. We in the CSO space are happy to come out and tell Ministry of Finance what it is to be told them. I mean, if the government is doing something wrong, somebody has to say it. But I don't think it's a government problem. People are quick to blame the government, when in the meantime, there are individuals not doing their work. So I will go and blame GRIDCO and its management and its engineers for not doing their work. If they think that I'm blaming them unduly, they should privately call me or call any of the civil society organizations and tell us that, look, these are our problems. Help us talk to government. And we are more than happy to call a meeting with government.
Let's put it bluntly, has GRIDCO been irresponsible in this matter? Because, of course, no one likes the doomsaw kind of thing, and I'm using it in a very simple context. When your light is off, it is doom. So no one likes that situation. And with the lack of communication, is GRIDCO being irresponsible here?
Well, yes, because there is load shedding. And when you are shedding load, it's doomsaw. You are shedding about 100 megawatts of load in Ashanti Region. So I can tell you that there's doomsaw in Ashanti Region. There's no point missing words about it. They are shedding 100 megawatts of load in Ashanti Region every evening. Look, there are issues in the background. And from yesterday when I issued my release on social media...
What are the issues? Share with us what you know. What are the issues?
Well, GRIDCO, some sources in GRIDCO is also coming to say that the Abuaze plant, gas plant, also have issues. So there isn't enough gas for the likes of car power to work efficiently. So those are some of the things that we are hearing. But you don't need me, Kojo Poku, from Instep to issue a release on social media, then be told this privately. These are things you should be front and center about. Okay, so I come out to release and say that, look, why is the Ashanti Region in darkness? Then privately, I'm being told that, oh, one of the reasons is that, yes, the light is being, the transmission lines is being resolved, but there is also problems at Abuaze. And we read in the papers that the ministry came out to say that no matter what the problem at Abuaze, the less gas, there is contingency plans to fix or to make sure that nobody is in darkness. It's not true, because from what we are being told now, there isn't contingency plans being put in place, and the less gas is causing problems around the country. Okay? Look, we have always fought against this. Let's not run the country with propaganda. For me, it's sickening. And I'm very passionate about this thing. I've said it when NDC did it, I'll say it when MPP does it. In 2012 to 2015, when there was darkness in this country, people were trying to use words to make sure it's better. When I'm in darkness, I'm in darkness. There is nothing that you can say or do to mitigate that factor. And I need to know why my lights are off. Okay? So if there is a problem at Abuaze, Ghana Gas should come out and tell us why there's a problem at Abuaze.
Okay.
Ghana Gas also don't tell us anything. My brother, Mr. Ben Asante's people, they don't say anything to anybody. Okay? GRIDCO doesn't say anything to anybody. The ministry don't say anything to anybody. Ghanaians deserve to know.
Ghanaians deserve to know.
I don't get this people. Say that again.
You're saying Ghanaians deserve to know, and I totally agree with you. But just to wrap the conversation, so we know that the Member of Parliament for Manchia South also happens to be the Energy Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. And I'm sure he would be getting his own fair share of calls and all of that. But what would be, for you, the way forward if the Energy Minister had invited you and said, okay, Kojo Poku, you're saying all these things. What are your proposals in terms of dealing with this situation? What would you say?
Well, get ahead of the problem. You know, most of these things, except the accidents that happen, when the accidents happen, there's a lot of radio stations in Kumasi. Look, Ghanaians are forgiving and welcoming. That's our nature, okay? So if you tell me why I'm in darkness, then I will plan. If there is a need that you know that there is a serious problem, a 330 kV line, and it's going to take 3 weeks, then by all means put a load shedding in place for 3 weeks. There's nothing wrong with putting load shedding in place for 3 weeks in Kumasi when you know there is a problem and you adequately told the people what the problem is. So get ahead of the problem. Don't let the people complain, and with frustration, you try to give them explanation. It brings anger.
Right.
So it's the communication that's the problem. Nobody's saying that they can't be force majeure, they can't be accidents like what happened. But the other inquiry is, how did a communication mast get so close to a 330 kV line? That is something that we also need to know.
Well, Kojo, always refreshing catching up with you, and we'll see how, on the back of these discussions, what remedial measures are put in place. But thank you for joining the conversation, Kojo.
Thank you very much.
Kojo Poku is an energy analyst, and he was just sharing his thoughts there on that situation when it comes to power outages in the Ashanti region. Let's come into the studio now and engage Ni Ayi Opare. He is national spokesperson for the Economic Fighters League, and he also is a member of Fix the Country. Now, on the back of Budget 2020, they have had a lot to say, and they have said, for example, that some of what they see in the 2022 budget is ridiculous, and it's going to only heap more suffering upon the ordinary Ghanaian. When we move from the suffering of the ordinary Ghanaian when it comes to power outages, we now move to the budget. But I'd just like to find out from you, in your area, your neighborhood,